If you have met in your life or continue meeting the kind of people with whom it's hard to have intimate conversations or relationships, this video might be helpful for you. Perhaps you yourself are such a person, and maybe you finding yourself or someone you know who is an avoidant type, maybe not directly, but you continuously notice that it's hard to build something genuine, to have a genuine conversation, uh, to have honest and meaningful interactions and communications. So to build closer connection, here might be the reasons, and let's start expanding on that. So the topic for this video is paradox, craving but denying, illusion of control. You see, oftentimes, unconsciously, people long for deep connections. Unconsciously, people need someone to rely on, someone to actually know them, to actually understand them, to actually will their well being so they could rely on them and be safe even when they are weak and even when they are vulnerable. Yet some things stop them or prevent them from consciously choosing this kind of relationships. And what might be the reason? Because you can ask yourself, well, if it is so wonderful, then why, if close relationships are so good and we need it, even unconsciously, then why to reject it? Why to distance yourself from that? Why to avoid anything honest and genuine? Uh, but I want to provide you a reason. You see, honesty might be pushing, closeness and intimacy might be demanding. Because the kind of people who would consciously avoid or distance themselves from such interactions and close relationship are the kind of people who long for um, autonomy. They have an desire. They have a desire for freedom, and well, of course, you will say that all people do, and what's actually uh, what is different? But you see, uh, the kind of autonomy that such people can have is is a strong need for them to be in control of their emotions, of their emotional state, of their well-being. And there could be different reasons for it. But sometimes the dependency in any form can be triggering for people. It can be a trigger because, as I mentioned, intimacy can be too demanding. It's invitation for something, and all invitations, or at least oftentimes, they come with expectations. Um, as well as committed relationships. They often do come with expectations. But for people who celebrate autonomy, who feel safe when their autonomy is preserved, who really try to uh, take control of their emotions. They do it for the 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 simple reasons. The reasons that saying I need you can be understood by others or taken as I now can control you, I can hurt you, and I can expect too much for you. And in a lot of times, this happens on unconscious level. All right, so it's not rationalized, but it's not rare for people to avoid dependency and to avoid vulnerability of any kind due to the fear of being controlled, being hurt, and uh, falling, failing to meet expectations of others. And these can be developed in early stages or just past experiences of their lives. Perhaps they've been judged by their parents, by their friends. They've been judged when they've been vulnerable. When they needed support, they instead being judged. When they open up, they instead being judged. And this was hurting them. They've been hurt. When they've been vulnerable and needed support, perhaps they've been rejected. Perhaps when they open up their vulnerability, their need, the other side push them away, and it's hard the more. Or perhaps in their past experience, they had a strong need for self-reliance. They needed to be emotionally independent to survive, and maybe more than survive, maybe to well, to thrive despite the hardships. And so now they cling to it because they feel like it's their necessity, it's their strength. They need it. They cannot let it go. Okay? But the problem is that when accepting the need becomes taken or expected to be a weakness, feared when the dependency is feared uh, and avoided, when you think that closeness emotional dependency could be too controlling, too hurting, and too expecting, well, then it would bring you to perhaps sacrificing something meaningful for your autonomy. Um, Maybe you have been suggested something genuine, truly genuine, and a good opportunity, but you are afraid and you still want to hold to on being in control. And so you exchange something deep and meaningful to a surface interactions. You sacrifice something that could be real um, and mutual for your autonomy and for your desire of control. Yeah, because you fear, this is what you also do, because you fear the dependence. And so you avoid trust, you avoid vulnerability, you avoid emotional dependence, and well, perhaps any other kinds of dependence as well. And this leads to you pushing away when something is offered to you, when the help, the support is offered to you. You can subtly push it away. You can not recognize the what is offered for what it is, for a goodwill, a well-intended one. You can take it for weakness, you can take it for softness, and you can fear for yourself, maybe unconsciously, but it would lead you to push away something offered truly genuinely. It could also lead you to emotional detachment, distancing yourself emotionally from other people in attempt to remain in control. Because once someone would get closer to you, maybe you're afraid they will hurt you. You're afraid that once you open up to them, they they can control you more in a way that they now have a greater influence on you, a greater impact, and they actually can hurt you more. But if you distance yourself, if you stay emotionally detached, and if you want to let them come closer, you remain in control for yourself. You think you remain in a stronger position. You think you have successfully suppressed your weaknesses. And it is also can be instinctively, not necessarily that would come from a traumatic experience. This can be your primal instinct uh, for for self-preservation. But of course, it would usually be coming from distrust. And distrust is formed upon the patterns that you face with. So it's necessarily strongly, well, influenced by your, if not directly, by your past experiences that form your frameworks of perception. And so you would avoid interdependence. You, or of course, people you know, even people you don't. Um, so we stated what could happen. But why is it bad? Let me take this figure that you might not see. Um, Shallow transactional relationships. Um, I encourage you to watch my video on trust. It speaks trust and also um, what was another one, social rejection. Uh, and I think even more on social rejection because it says a lot about two different types of relationship, trust based and transactional, and it also mentions the threats of transactional relationships. But here we just will touch it slowly, lightly. Uh, this, of course, will prevent you from forming something deep, something meaningful. Because you can suppress your weaknesses in as much as you like, but you can remove them completely. You're flawed, and you will be weak and dependent at some point. You just want to exchange it to complete self sufficiency, but we might yet see if this works successfully. But with people, what it leads to, it leads you to shallow relationship, to shallow connections, to surface interactions. And sadly, when you don't give um, something valuable on your part, hopefully you don't receive it back either. Okay, so if you're not ready for something like that, usually it's rare that, well, something still would come your way despite you rejecting each offer you meet continuously. And it's even more rare than something like that would stay with you after you rejected it multiple times due to a fear. Self-preservation is good, but it says something. You are in a threat, or you at least you think you are, and you need to preserve this yourself. You need to distance yourself because people can hurt you, and this is not a strong position, or rather, this is not the position of the strong. This is the position of the weak that tries to hide his weakness. And ultimately, this can lead to, well, this fear of being controlled. I don't know if you see. Oh, I need to let me move my chair. This fear of being controlled can lead to alienation. When you attempt to guard yourself, and you guard yourself so hard that you forget the connections, you forget how exactly true, genuine, honest, and vulnerable interactions feel like. You have alienated yourself. You have built yourself walls that guard you because you have tried so hard to protect yourself, and maybe all of that has been unconsciously, but this is an attempt to protect yourself. And a good sign of such an attempt for protection could come from defense mechanisms, defensive mechanisms, right? So, for example, it could go from it could be sarcasm. So it could be sarcasm, it could be humor, because though sarcasm is used when you slightly tease your friend to play a game, to build a better cooperation, and kind of to create the connections, it's still used in another ways. And sarcasm a lot used in a ways to undermine the other position, um, not directly. So it could be used as the passive uh, aggression or attempt to to lower someone's status, and it's also can be used to hide your vulnerability. So sometimes sarcasm can be used to express something that is maybe confusing within you, but in a way that hides your weaknesses. To communicate with someone, but in a way that hides your weaknesses, or in a way that keep the other people distance from you, so you would not attach to them emotionally. And this is important. This is important part, that some people want to keep you, or maybe it's you, some people want to keep others away, or some specific others away, not because they don't like them specifically, not because these people are think they are bad, uh, not because they don't provide enough of uh, their input, not because of that, but because keeping someone on a distance allows you not to open up, not to be vulnerable. And so um it's a sort of a safe play, because when someone comes closer to you, when someone comes closer to you, you either have to push away or to open up, or you will always worry that they are a threat. They are so close to you and you don't know them, right? You either have to push them away, or to push yourself away. You either need to preserve the distance, or you have to open up. And so for someone, open up is the easier choice, because they fear, not open up, to keep a distance is the easier choice, because they fear dependence and intimacy, because it could be demanding for them, because it could hurt them more than help. But here where it all goes wrong. You see, let's remember one guy, Freud. Freud. So Freud, according to Freud, I guess Freud would say superego, harshness, harshens, harshens itself. So the problem is that superego harshness itself. When you are afraid, you are afraid because you're perceiving something as the threat to you. And this is not the position of the strong. You're not at peace. You worry. And unconsciously, underneath there, you distressed. You are afraid of pain. You are afraid that someone will hurt you. And and you don't want to face your weakness. Instead, you harden yourself into suppressing it, into convincing yourself that you are strong instead. When in reality, you don't want to face it. Mm. And what you do, you create an illusion of control, an illusion of strength that comes from being completely and successfully self-sufficiently. as you think can be and should be. And so you could say something like, well, only weak need help. Solve your own problems. Endure pain alone. Endure pain alone. Don't don't ask for someone's help. Help yourself, right? You perhaps have made the interactions with other people as a game. You play with them and you use humor, you use sarcasm, you use small manipulations to trick them into connections because, well, you need them. You need connections and cooperations, but you're not ready. You're not ready to open up. You're afraid. You have closed yourself, you have distanced yourself. You have celebrated your autonomy so much that you have forgot how does it feel to be able to rely? How does it feel to be able to risk, but deliberately willing to risk being mistreated and not being afraid of it? You have scared yourself so much of pain that now you just unconsciously avoiding it. And one day you will realize it. Or one day perhaps you will notice that entertainment is not enough. That people are meant for something more than entertainment. That there is something deeper and not only more meaningful, but much more fulfilling than a surface relationships, than an entertainment, than even fun and games. It is these relationships that persist when everything crushes. It is these relationships that are sacrificing and that place the well-being of the other above their own, and so they're not afraid of themselves. They're willing to risk, and more than to risk, to be courageous and to be brave, and not to be afraid of being hurt, because there's something that it could be actually much more terrible than just being hurt. It's being alone, loneliness, okay? Ah, let's erase Freud. So ego harshness itself. Yeah. So loneliness, right? Loneliness. Um, that admiration is not love. That though maybe you have good skills, maybe you're a great intellectual and people adore you, or maybe you're artistic or talented. Perhaps you are gorgeous, you're attractive, and people cling to you. They are willing to. They are desiring to interact with you, and so you don't have a lack of it. But one day maybe you realize that admiration is not love. And when you're getting tired of applauses, when you got tired of laughing in a group, of silly jokes, when you got tired of this, when you're all alone yourself, and when you happen to be really vulnerable, you ask yourself a question: did anyone ever truly knew me? So the desire rises in you to have a true, genuine connections and relationships that would acknowledge you as a person with all the flaws. Because you is not a perfect you, and you know that. You're a flawed you. And this is the way to healing for such people. The way to healing is to, okay, probably not safe here. The way to healing is recognizing your imperfections. And you know deep down that you're imperfect. It's not even reductively, it's not even reduced to this problem. But recognizing that and everyone is flawed, okay? That you are unpolished, and this is all right. That you are um, vulnerable. Vulnerable. Not because you are a victim and not because you choose to be weak, but because in reality, you are not completely self sufficient. Because all the good you want and desire so much is a dependable good. You cannot create it your own. If you want love, you need someone else to love and someone else to love you back. If you want to be known and understood, you cannot do it to yourself. Only you need someone to understand you and someone to know you and for you to know someone else. Because you also desire to be understood and known, but how anyone would know you if they don't know your flaws? And your flaws is such a great part of you that if they only know your good sides, you will never feel worthy of their admiration. Because deep down you will know, or you will think, I don't deserve it because they just don't know me fully. And so you don't want to end up in this place of loneliness, questioning yourself, did anyone ever truly knew me? Because the reason might be that you have pushed away all these opportunities that other people have provided to get to know you closer. That you have pushed away the open hearts, that you have lost the opportunity for something so real and profound. But you yourself can create the opportunity, even if it does not always repeatedly comes your way. And if you're on your way to healing, to recognizing your flaws, your unpolishness, your vulnerability, your need for others, your need for true connections, then You on your way of self discovery. Oh, you also can see it here, right? You have tried it. The admirations, the recognitions, the surveys, mm, friendliness and kindness, and it's not enough for you. You want something deep, and you are on your way to test this deepness, this depth that creates meaning. Um, you are on your way, perhaps, then to stop considering vulnerability, honesty as obstacles to your freedom and autonomy, but as the opportunity for growth, for opportunity for growth and something more, opportunity for selfless will, right? Goodwill, opportunity for mm, stopping being limited to yourself, to narrow to yourself, to be afraid of your pain. Um, Stop hiding who you truly are so others could know you. So then you would not need to ask the question, did anyone truly knew me? Because you do crave it. You just afraid of pain. So you deny. And to address it is to realize the reasons behind the denial, the need and reasons for craving, and build your way to the sufficient solutions. Perhaps it could be done through active reflection, through understanding that you don't have your full control. You're not in full control, and that's partially why you can be completely self-sufficient, and that in in loving relationships you can be off guard and not be afraid, or perhaps that you can find a relationship where your autonomy and the need for it um, would not be taken down but preserved, where you a relationship in which you can grow and still manage yourself and your emotions. And thank you for watching this video. I really hope it's been um, informative for you. And see you in the next one.